You think you're the only one who wishes that you weren't autistic? Hell freaking no. There are so many times when I used to just cry out to God or blaming God, saying that he's the enemy for making me autistic. What kind of God would make somebody hateable and incapable of anything? Why doesn't God just make me not autistic anymore? Why did he have to make me a curse? And I've had lots of people ask me if I ever wish I wasn't autistic. Hey guys, it's William. Welcome back to my channel. You know, I often struggle with finding out the best way to make YouTube videos, and I find myself at crossroads because of how I have a habit of comparing myself to others. I see some YouTubers with all this fancy editing and fancy title animations, and I see some where they are just talking. I'm one of those people who just wants to get right down to the point of the video, but I'm all for suggestions on how to improve on my videos. Sometimes I try to tell myself that it doesn't matter how fancy you make your videos as long as your audience can see you, understand you, and you present something they are interested in hearing about, and that you present it well. Well, today I wanted to come on here and share with you my thoughts and opinions on how to be okay with being autistic. But before we dive into that topic, I need your guys' help. I need you to help me push this video out by liking this video and commenting. The more engagement on this video, the more YouTube will push this video out and help me get word out to the world regarding autism awareness. So please guys, do your part. Also, if you haven't already, please be sure to check out my book, Our Voices Matter, on Amazon, which is an at-home ABA therapy guide that parents can do with their autistic children themselves. Be their own ABA therapist. All right, now let's get started. First, I want you to acknowledge that you are probably the most real person on the planet. I mean, there are so many neurotypicals in this world that are not honest and are really good at hiding who they are. They don't follow through on their promises or make an effort to have an outstanding relationship with someone. They're basically just full of themselves. And as somebody with autism, you are not like that. Fake people have more friends than real people. And if someone does not like you because of how real you are, then you should take that as a blessing and not a curse. And thank God for not allowing this person into your life to mess you up. So you should learn how to praise yourself for being more real and authentic than others. Second, you need to remind yourself that you're not lazy, you're overwhelmed. There's a huge difference. Even if you haven't started on said task, that doesn't mean you're lazy. That could mean that you don't understand the task, or you spent so much time thinking about how to do the task that it's overwhelmed your mind. And you need your mind in order to move your body. Now, this may be a feature about you that you don't like having, but remember, if this is a task that you understand and that you are capable of completing, then you are going to excel at this task far beyond anyone, because that is something that autistic individuals are gifted with. Doing something way better than most neurotypicals. Third, you need to stop apologizing for your challenges. Now, I don't really like to use the word flaws because it just sounds like it's putting someone down. Challenges are often caused by more things than just you. And as somebody with autism, you are unfortunately gonna run into a lot of challenges that other neurotypicals don't face. Now, it's one thing to say, sorry, my bad, when you mess up on something, but you shouldn't let that be the end of the world for you. I mean, you have no control over the fact that you are easily distracted, or that you feel the need to focus on every single little detail in your environment, or how you need more breaks than usual, or how you may need the task modified or something explained to you differently. And yes, it would be great if we could all read minds and operate like robots, but we can't. Neurotypicals cannot, and so autistic individuals should not be expected to. Fourth, you need to learn how to walk away from the unreasonable. Some people, no matter how many times and no matter how many different ways you explain yourself to someone, they are not gonna get it. Oftentimes the reason why they will never get it is because they are being ignorant. I asked my aunt one time why so many people are not respecting my boundaries on social media, even when I clearly stated what my boundaries are in my bio and on numerous posts. And she told me, William, I'm going to tell you a very hard truth. There are a lot of people in this world that are really, really, really fucking stupid. And that's true. There are a lot of stupid people that don't have disabilities like autism. We can't help the unhelpable. And yes, it does suck when it seems like there are neurotypicals that have control over our future. Like a boss who is neurotypical and he has the decision to either let you go or hire you for a job. Or you have a neurotypical friend that doesn't want to be your friend anymore. Or you have a neurotypical coworker that bullies you. Now, it's okay to try to explain yourself once or maybe twice, but if you are constantly interrupted and people just take action against you without hearing you, then you should not waste your time and energy. Sometimes I believe it's better to be fired than just to quit a job. Reason why is because it shows that you tried and it didn't work out. And yes, it could be for other reasons, like you were a bad employee, but you know in your heart that you did everything you could to succeed. Just think of Gerard Butler in the movie 300. No retreat, no surrender. Of course, there will be circumstances where you will have to walk away from a job or a bully, but you should not stick around trying to fix it. You just gotta learn how to leave that up to God. Not even God can fix everybody because God gave us all free will. However, God has better abilities to fix people that doesn't require mind control or manipulation. So, leave it up to God. My mentor from church told me that I need to stop trying to figure people out. There could be a lot of reasons why people are the way they are. And all we're gonna do is waste time trying to figure them out. Now, fifth, when you ask for accommodations, it is not because you are weak or stupid. You are asking for tools or resources to help you succeed at the job, to help you do better than everybody else around you. Think of it like cooking. You can make a simple meal with little resources like a frying pan and a spatula, but you see all these fancy restaurants that have so many different gadgets for cooking, and they make meals that are impeccable. 6, you need to keep reminding yourself that there is always something better out there for you. When life gets down, remind yourself that you're gonna get out of it, and things are gonna be so much better. Just like that song by Elevator Worship. You take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. If you get fired from your job because others could not tolerate you being on the autism spectrum, then just remind you that God has a better job in mind for you. If a friend suddenly starts treating you horribly and no longer wants anything to do with you, then just remind yourself that God is protecting you and will one day set you up with the right person. But just don't waste time, wondering when that's going to happen. 7, you need to try to look at some of your challenges like a blessing. Now you might be asking something like, well, what's so good about being nonverbal autistic? Well, for starters, you're not going to say anything that you will regret to someone's face. And you'll probably have an opportunity to explain something to someone in a better and more understandable way than just talking. Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, said that there are other ways to see things, and we all know that he's blind. And yes, of course, Daredevil is fiction. Now 8, you gotta remind yourself that you are not an asshole for having feelings. People are assholes for giving you a hard time about having feelings. I mean, nobody likes to take responsibility for their actions, so therefore, they don't want to take responsibility for hurting you. People are just often shocked that a person with autism reacts so profoundly at an unfortunate circumstance. It's like they assume we don't have feelings for any. Now, for anybody who has or who has not seen Star Trek Strange New Worlds, there's an episode where Spock meets an entity that turns him into a human. Vulcans in Star Trek are known for not displaying their emotions and for just being very mechanical, monotone. But when Spock becomes human, his emotions are unleashed, like setting a wild animal out into the big city. He busts a gut laughing when somebody shares a funny story at the table. He gets extremely irritated during a meeting when one of the officers will not clean up their mess from their snack. He stresses about how his fiance's mother hates him. And when he is insulted, he screams into a pillow. Later, when he is turned back into a Vulcan, he explains to Nurse Chapel that Vulcans do have feelings, but they exhibit their feelings more intensely than average, and that's why they are forced to suppress them. So, the longer you suppress your feelings, the bigger you are going to erupt like a volcano. And just remember, a strong person does not throw gasoline on the fire. And what I mean by that is that they will not continue to insult you for having feelings. They will either take responsibility and apologize, or they will just try to walk away peacefully and not egg you on or escalate it. So that way no further harm is done. Weak people are the ones that will give you a hard time for having feelings. Now, it's human nature to justify yourself for when you are called out for something, but that doesn't mean they're right. Well, I hope that this video helped you at least feel a little better about being autistic or having an autistic child if you are a parent. I want to thank you all, whoever made it to the end of this video. Again, please help me push this video out by liking and commenting so that YouTube will do its job and help get word about autism out in the opening. Also, if you haven't already, please be sure to check out my book, Our Voices Matter, if you're interested in being your own ABA therapist at home. I'll see you all next time.